What is going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to another edition of On the Road to Victory. I'm your host, Jimmy Smith, and I'm not sure if you can see the chaos that is unfolding. The screen is just freaking out here, so God help me. Trying my best to get this free agent series completed before tomorrow. Tampering period begins at noon, and then, of course, Wednesday, officially, free agency begins at 4 p.m. So, already seeing some things going down. Harold Landry going to the Patriots. You have Devontae Adams going to the Rams. Myles Garrett getting an extension there with the Browns. So a lot of stuff already underway here. Aaron Jones back to the Vikings. A lot of stuff going on. I will keep you up to date as we talk about what the Eagles got going on here in the next few days. But right here, right now, we're going to finish this series off with the free agent safeties. And we've gone through every position. And each time we look at the Eagles cap space, the situation at each of those positions, all of the free agents available, and then the top fits, in my opinion. I'd love to hear your thoughts, your opinion on who the top fits are for the Eagles in this free agency, or whether you think they should look in the draft, both, whatever's on your mind. But appreciate you all hitting the like button, sharing, subscribing, doing everything you can to support the channel. Cannot thank you enough. But let's rock and roll here. It started off with the cap space, and as you all know, waiting for the Zach Bond numbers to give you an official, I would say probably around like 16, 17 mil you're going to have in cap space. Only need a couple mil for the draft picks. Don't listen to other people tell you otherwise. But, you know, the number we had, we're just rocking with it. Again, once it becomes updated, you know I will make a video and update you on that cap space. But we know that Saquon Barkley, his $6.6 million cap hit, all that stuff will get worked in. And I promise you, we still got cap space. We could still do whatever the hell we want to. And talk about all those other positions. But one of the positions I feel pretty comfortable about, the safety position. And last year, we put an emphasis on it. And we got our guy back, CJ Gardner-Johnson. Now, Reed Blankenship, I believe, surprised a lot of people. You guys know I was behind the old ghost there, and very excited to see him continue to develop. But you've got Sidney Brown, Tristan McCollum behind CJ and Reed there. And I think, you know, both of them showed that they can, you know, obviously provide something. And I think Sidney Brown coming back from that injury, unfortunate. Tristan McCollum was able to show him up last year, but both of their versatile skill sets obviously shine in this defense, and I think makes them valuable. So going to be a fun offseason to watch that competition. But Andre Sam, he is someone that's also here. Last year, an undrafted kid that was on the practice squad, now reserve future signing. So he'll be here this offseason. Lewis Seen there. He will be a free agent. So see if possibly give him another shot. He was here at the end of the season. But, to me, I like that room. If you want to improve, or there's a safety you like, or someone in the draft, bring in competition, obviously I'm all about that. So that's what we're going to talk about. And obviously the draft is where I think a lot of places you look. Here, I would consider a safety because, you know, you don't know about CJ Gardner-Johnson's longevity, and love the guy, love what he brings. But, you know, same goes for Sidney Brown, who's younger, but had some issues. So you always want to be ready. And if they're, you know, best available, if there's a good safety in the draft, go ahead and take them. But you can ensure that there's some competition at that safety position by going ahead, grabbing one of these free agents. So let's take a look at all of the free agents here at the safety position. And, well, we've got the exclusive rights guys first. And if you're watching the show, you know, this is the guys with 2 years or less accrued in the NFL. And if they get tendered, they either sign that league minimum contract with their team or they don't play. If they're not tendered, they become unrestricted. See all the names there. And then, of course, the restricted 3 years or less accrued, and they're the ones that get the first or second original round tenders placed on them, right of refusal, all that great stuff we always talk about here. Now, I do believe Marquise Bell, he was signed by the Cowboys just a little bit ago before I made this video. So these guys you're going to see going off the board, all that stuff. I will, again, like we do every year, I will come back and recap best available, all that. You'll see guys that were restricted or exclusive rights have become unrestricted, all that great stuff. But let's look at those unrestricted guys. And like we do on every show, starts from the lowest paid last year and works itself up. So Lewis Seen at the bottom there with Damar Hamlin, Hufanga, which is crazy, you know, to see someone like Hufanga. Pinnock had a good year. Bynum, a great year there. So some lower end payment for some top end guys. And I'm sure, some of these guys will be getting themselves paid. You see guys like Rodney McLeod still there, Marcus May, John Johnson III, Kayvon Wallace, Elijah Campbell there. But the higher price guys, there are some really good safeties out there. And if you're in need of a safety, oh boy, you've got yourself some good choices. So, looking at this list, I think, some of these guys overpaid, last year. Some of these guys are going to get paid again. You've got guys like Justin Reed, Justin Simmons, Jeremy Chin is there, Quandre Diggs, some of the older guys out there, Ashton Davis. So you've definitely, a guy like Javon Holland was, one of the better safeties in the game there. So lots of options here if you're in need of a safety. But for me, as I've, said, I feel pretty good about the Eagles' safety situation right now, but you never know what could happen. And I'm always looking for depth, always looking for competition in the offseason. So we're going to look more toward those other guys. And look, I'd love to tell you about Budda Baker and, Justin Reed and all these people. But for me, I think that, we got to stick more to the lower end guys here. So that's kind of where I went with these fits. I'd love to have some of those top name guys, and I think Baker, might have been signed there or whatever, some kind of extension. But look, I don't think we're going after a top safety is my point. I think, as you'll see with my number 5 guy here, looking for, some cheaper options that, have shown promise in college, maybe not so much in the NFL so far. But Richie Gant, to me, is somebody, look, those PFF grades, you can take it with a grain of salt there. But honestly, 37.7, it's clearly horrible. You don't want that kind of grade. And I think, this is a kid who's only 27. Vic Fangio's defense, you never know what's going to, happen with some of these guys if in the right system. So I think he started one game, only had 165 snaps on defense, didn't really do much, 115.1 passer rating when thrown at. So, yeah, if you're looking at the stats, not great. But I think a guy that can be serviceable, and maybe, you find what you were hoping for in a kid in Richie Grant, where, again, I'm looking for a cheaper option. Maybe you could even get him lower than that $2 million I have written down there. But he wasn't that great in coverage or against the run last year, so I think you really could get him cheap. And, if it's competition, in the offseason, I'm fine with it, right? I'm not looking for a starting guy, and maybe not even a guy that makes the team. So that's kind of where my head is at the safety position. But you can let me know how you feel about this safety position or any of these guys that I mentioned here. And, Elijah Riley here, the next on this list, he didn't even play last year. So you're kind of getting the feel for what I'm talking about. The stats you see are from 2023 when he was with the Steelers, and he only played 50 snaps, had 12 tackles, handful of them, and 2 tackles for a loss, 1 quarterback hit. That's what he did. We know Riley, former Eagle, guy that is versatile, can play that nickel, can play safety, and that is something that fits the Vic Fangio scheme. So maybe you bring him in, compete with guys like Perry Nickerson, Tariq Castro Fields with those versatile skill sets to play that defensive back role. So that's kind of where I'm at. We're in the NFC East here, and we're going to keep it there. Up next is Derek Forrest, another young guy. And, Riley only 26, 27 for Gant. And so that's, kind of where I'm at. Derek Forrest, only 25 years old. And I think, he had a lot of promise before this past year. I think this year, this is a guy I like, though. He's good against the run, good in coverage. One of those players I feel is versatile, can play that nickel, that safety. You kind of notice a trend of what I talk about. But, 66.2 grade. Again, take that all with a grain of salt. 5'11", 200 pounds. I'm a fan of Derek Forrest. Only had 74 defensive snaps. And, with the new system there in Washington, bringing in Chin, having Quan Martin there, obviously kind of push him down the list there. So maybe somebody pays him, or maybe he comes and takes on a depth role somewhere. I wouldn't be against having him, compete with Brown and McCollum for that third safety spot. But that's, where I'm looking at guys that want to push. If injury were to happen, maybe they can come in and provide some starting caliber play. But didn't do too much. And you can obviously, again, notice the trend of I'm looking for guys that we can get a little cheaper because they didn't do too much. But some of these guys show promise and teams will pay. So we'll see. But at number 2, we're staying with another NFC East. So we hit them all up here in this one. Israel Mukwamu, who, you remember we talked about this kid in the draft, I think, a few years ago, that he's got a lot of talent and he's obviously huge. 6'4", 205 pounds. For a corner, that's awesome. And at South Carolina, he did his thing, but the Cowboys really used him as a safety. And I think the Eagles could do the same with him, but having that versatile skill set that we talk about, but not again, this is one of those guys, though, that didn't have a great year, and he's not exactly a safety. He's not the greatest against the run. And he did kind of struggle at times in coverage, but you see, 46.7 passer rating. You got to take all that stuff with a grain of salt because, he had 2 picks, 2 passes deflected, didn't start any games, only had 201 snaps on defense there, but he made his time worth it. And I think in the right system with some of these guys, only 25 years old. And yeah, his PFF grades is 48.5, but I think in, a system like this, you could really find something special, turn him into a weapon, and have some fun with him. But up next, number 1, and you've heard me talk about this guy before, I really do like Ashton Davis, and I think he's one of those guys that provides you that true, free safety type play where anything were to happen to CJ or anybody, this is a guy that, a depth piece. And I think he may cost a little more than some of these other guys, or maybe they get paid more because they're younger and they have more upside. This is a guy that could start somewhere, but provides great depth and a special teamer that, 260 defensive snaps, 1 start for him. He had 35 tackles, 5 tackles for a loss, 2 picks, 2 passes deflected, a 73.7 passer rating allowed. So 28 years old going into his 6th season, a little bit older than those other guys, but still young. And I think one of those dudes that has, veteran presence and leadership you could add to this defense that I think would fit as a depth piece. That's what we're talking about. I don't feel that the Eagles need any kind of, superstar at that position. You've already got Reed Blankenship, CJ Gardner-Johnson with Brown and McCollum in the wings. And we'll see how this offseason goes. But, again, not looking for those top options. And I had Buda Baker on the graphic, but he is signed with the Cardinals. But you still got really top guys there. Justin Simmons, Javon Holland, Hafanga. I mean, Cam Bynum. So many guys that are out there. If you're looking for a starting safety, your team is not the Eagles. You got plenty of good options out there. But I think for the Eagles, looking for depth and looking in the draft would be the best way to go. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Appreciate those of you hitting that like button, sharing, subscribing if you enjoyed the video. Cannot thank you enough for the support. If you guys need anything else, you can reach out. I hope you all enjoyed this free agent series. Go check out all the videos. Love to hear your thoughts on it, who you like. If you like my top fits, you have other thoughts, whatever it is, I'm down to talk some birds with you. Now, tomorrow I will be at work, so anything that happens, any kind of chaos, I won't be home till probably like 5, 6 o'clock. We'll break down anything that happens for the Eagles or anything that pertains to the Eagles, whatever's going down. We'll talk about it, have a little recap of the day, and we'll do the same for the next couple of days. And then free agency, don't worry. I got you. I'll have a list of all the Eagles free agents, what's going down with them, all of it, just like we do each and every year. But if you have any questions, thoughts, you can comment down below. All I've got for you here tonight. So until next time, I am Jimmy Smith, and this is On the Road to Victory. You all stay safe out there, and as always, go Birds!